Many people hate Isekai because it's very oversaturated, but Karate Survivor in Another World is a very refreshing take on this type of story, and I'm going to highlight to you what makes it stand apart. Karate Survivor in Another World is an isekai action fantasy manga, initially written by a Japanese writer who goes by the name Yazen, with a manga adaptation being illustrated by Takahito Kobayashi. This story has some pretty cool and very grounded displays of martial arts. Our main character, Nozaki Hitoshi, is a 34-year-old single man who died protecting a student from an oncoming car and was brought to another world by its deity with the only skill granted to him being karate, which suits him just fine. Reading about Nozaki as a fighter is very entertaining, as his martial arts isn't just him jumping halfway across the forest to one-shot a goblin, but he showcases real honed martial prowess. Throughout the story, Nozaki wins simply by analyzing his opponents, reading the way they stand, the type of weapon they're using, and the surrounding his battle is taking place in, and by simply breathing. Like the time where he fights this knight, and he obviously can't punch or kick his way through the knight's plate armor, and he realizes that this guy's a real trained fighter as well, but he's favoring his right leg. And this is why I feel Nozaki is really cool, because he equates this to his own experience of when he injured his right meniscus, and this is what allows him to grapple the knight and snap his neck. But there's also times when his practical fighting style doesn't work, and he has to adapt to fighting goblins and hobgoblins, as he's able to notice that goblins don't have their weak points in the usual places, and hobgoblins have tough skin, leading him to use blind spots he created from jabbing his finger into the eyes of the hobgoblin, eating peppers to maintain consciousness after being kicked back by the hobgoblin. All this combined experience and his resolve is what allows him to win every single battle. Even battles where he's outnumbered, like a Bruce Lee movie, surrounded by 8 men, 3 of them wielding proper weapons, all he does is remember his training, stating that it isn't a big deal as he's had training to fight multiple opponents at once, but it's still realistic as he can't let them figure out his fighting style, so he carefully fights the men with proper weapons first, and he's able to easily handle them. Now, while his skills are legit, this manga does have something I dislike quite a lot, and it is the system window, which is one of the most overused tropes in both manga and manhwa currently. But even this manga has a unique way of handling this, as Nozaki actually learns about it and the rules it has. The leveling system in this manga actually limits individuals every 5 levels, making them defeat stronger monsters in order to exceed this level cap. At level 5, you have to defeat a category 2 monster. At level 10, it's a category 3, and then at level 15, you must defeat a category 4. He also learns that the iron weapons they might use will be toys against them. You need weapons made of black steel to have a chance against them, but these weapons cost an arm and a leg, and even the fortune you brought back isn't even near the price it costs to go. I actually really like this variation of the system. It creates an actual limit and gives structure to how leveling works within this world, but for Nozaki, it actually goes a little deeper. Nozaki learns that practicing skills improves general fitness, and by the example we're given, when a character grips their sword with the intent to cause harm, that's when skills activate and individuals get a lot stronger. We also learn that skills can optimize an individual's actions. With deeper understanding of their skills, they can achieve near perfect efficiency in action even when injured. But it's different for Nozaki, as he doesn't necessarily have a weapon to grasp, so he realizes that the karate is him. It's his body. The skills he's learned from karate, like his breathing, the way he observes his surroundings, the way he walks, the way he balances his weight, he learned all of them from karate, and they've become second nature to him, making the karate techniques a part of his body and the skill. So the skill has been activated this whole time, and when he's lazing around in his bed, his breathing leaves its rhythm and the skill deactivates. So he decides to practice in private. He learns more about himself while also reflecting on his past, and he begins to have fun and feel the moments much more clearly, declaring that this is the realm of masters. And he even thanks God for giving him this skill, stating that he is going to thrive in this world. And I think that this is really cool. The blending of both his actual skill and the system window rules, creating a fighting style unique to him, is very cool, as it's something that actually reflects his character and skills. He even later is able to implement new skills into his own, making him even stronger. And the next best part is the fact that characters aren't even overwhelmingly strong, and magic isn't even all that common. The one time he actually sees it was from a goblin mage. All this together making for a grounded but really nice action-packed series. Really quick before I get to the next segment, I want to ask you guys to please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. I typically ask at the end, but I really want to reach 1,000 subscribers this March, so please and thank you. But this leads into my next point really well, as one other thing I believe this manga does well as an isekai is take the lives of other characters into consideration. To give you some context, after defeating the hobgoblin, Nozaki wakes up in the home or apothecary of the woman he saved, and he's all bandaged up. He guesses that this is where that woman sleeps, and he can tell due to his heightened senses. But that same woman bursts into the room telling him he has to leave as the villagers want to kill him and take the hobgoblin parts so they can sell them. As tons of villagers are outside, Nozaki thought she had saved him, but the leader of these men attempts to persuade her to open the door so they can kill Nozaki. Nozaki escapes back to the wilderness where Nozaki is in his element and can recoup. It's also during this time that you get a little look into what he's thinking, recollecting everything that's happened lately, like how he met his first human, how he fought the hobgoblin. He reflects, saying that if there's one thing he's learned, it's that people of this world are no different from the ones back home. There are good people and not so good people, saying that if they're intent on killing him, he has to be just as ready to kill them, or he will die. But the fact remains that they're still human. It's not just about strength, it's about being mentally prepared too. This whole segment is really important, as characters in isekai don't typically think about killing others, and stories don't bring it up in this kind of light. And even later, after Nozaki's healed up, he's separating people from goblins and saying that he's definitely not ready to kill another person. It may seem like he gains the resolve to later, especially after seeing the bruises from the ropes on the woman's ankles, but he still attempts to make a deal with the leader of these men, Filippo, which Filippo declines, and upon killing someone, he states that people are so fragile. But due to the vileness of these men, he isn't as shaken up as he thought he'd be. He even declares that they are lower than monsters. He kills 4 of the men who are after his life, including Filippo, causing the village leader, the man who wanted Nozaki dead, to run up and find his son Filippo dead. And this leads back to the night I mentioned earlier. Nozaki snapped his neck, but Nozaki states that he never thought he'd ever have to snap someone's neck. And after this, he also kills the village leader. After this, it may seem like he gains the resolve to begin killing others, but this isn't the case at all. Multiple times throughout the story, Nozaki has to kill someone out of self-defense, but every death weighs on him. And during a moment where he almost dies himself, he has visions of all the men he's killed thus far, dragging him down. And while this is happening, he contemplates how he's going to go on living and how he can't deny the blood on his hands. And during another moment out in the wilderness, he encounters one of the men hunting him who is preparing to kill, but the man begins begging for his life, pleading that he has a daughter. And during this moment, Nozaki only wants this guy in this chapter to be a nameless, faceless hunter. He doesn't want to recognize him as a human, as he'd be unable to kill him. He states that he's so easily affected and that he was never ready to be a murderer. Nozaki doesn't know if this guy's doing this on purpose, but it doesn't matter if he's doing this on purpose or not. If he actually has a daughter, Nozaki will be dooming her to a life of suffering, but he has to kill him anyways and adapt to this world. Taking their equipment, Nozaki once again has a nightmare about the men he stole from and the daughter of the man he killed last. But that just goes to show how serious this manga is and how it's not just some gag manga. On to the next segment. But this leads into my next point even better, as another thing this manga does really well as an isekai is show how Nozaki interacts with this world and its people. Isekai is so oversaturated that I feel we don't realize how strange a situation it is. It's even worse in cases like Nozaki, who did not appear in a town or comfortably in a tavern, but in the wilderness, naked. Thankfully, Nozaki is able to survive out here due to the knowledge he gained from the Discovery Channel, and with this, he's able to ready himself for anything. He makes a grass skirt and listens, and then finds water and a shelter, and everything is great. He's thriving in this new environment, testing out all kinds of wild fruits, and lastly building a fire, the most beautiful fire he's ever seen. But this peace doesn't last, as in this same forest he encounters the hobgoblin and the girl from the village, leading to the fight between him and the village men. And afterwards, it's also on these travels that Nozaki realizes that he can't keep traveling with her, as he'll continue to bring her misfortune. He even thinks he got attached to her on a whim, and now he's giving her up on a whim, which is amazing, is it not? I feel like it isn't as focused on, but isekai tends to introduce a female character who's more two-dimensional than a drawing itself, and they tend to stick with the one-dimensional MC throughout the entire story. But the events and consequences of the first few chapters make it so Nozaki can't stay with this woman. But it's not all bad though. They get to a city named Rockcliffe, and Nozaki decides to say his goodbye here, and it's a heartwarming moment. This of course leaves Nozaki by himself and starts the best part of the manga, and once again uses one of the most overused tropes, adventurers guilds, but in the best way possible. In this arc, Nozaki joins an adventurers guild, and it's also kind of funny as when he walked in the guild hall, he was expecting to see a beautiful woman, but instead he got this guy. Despite joining this guild, this arc doesn't fly by, and the guild hall isn't just a one-off building. Nozaki meets a group of men here who he ends up joining, and all three of these men, Ao, Gans, and Kimon, aren't just one-off characters either. They all have their own favorite pastimes, like Ao going to clothing stores, Gans to brothels, and Kimon to weapon stores. Their party dynamic is given an entire chapter. Gans is a bloody idiot. He does as he pleases, he fights anyone who gets on his nerves, and he bullies people out of their money. New adventurers like this poor fellow are his favorite targets. If you don't like it, you have to stand up to him. But Gans is strong, the strongest in the city. Everyone who ever had stood up to Gans found themselves under his blade. Other than the rare traveler who doesn't know his rep, no one dares argue with him. So Nozaki questions how someone as impulsive and careless as Gans lives through the day without falling victim to traps, snares, or assassins. The answer is Ao. Nozaki states that there's another side to him, that Ao is a devious man. There's far more to him than meets the eye. He set up his own personal network of informants. Nothing in the city escapes him. If anyone were planning to assassinate Gans, Ao would know immediately. It's also at this moment that Ao teases Nozaki about looking for the cure for baldness and tells him that he won't find it here. Nozaki then sees Kimon and talks about how he's smaller than him, yet everyone fears him. He questions how he displays his power and he tries to emulate him. He learns that Kimon proves his strength via assassination and that Kimon might be the most feared party member. What I'm trying to say is that this arc is great because it's a living and learning settlement. While Nozaki is staying here, he learns about the world and about the leveling system. We actually see the missions that he and the party go on. The story actually takes time to establish itself here, and it really allows Nozaki to settle down. And at this point in the story, Nozaki really is just living here. His skills from surviving in the wilderness aid him during missions, and this helps his party members recognize his skills, making him truly one of them. This arc shows exactly what this kind of lifestyle is about and how it works. A lot of the adventurers here in Rockcliffe are actually the same level, 15, meaning that there's quite a bit of competition between adventurers. This is where a lot of the deaths at Nozaki's hands actually take place, and I want to refer back to chapter 18 when Nozaki was about to die and having his hallucinations. It was these connections he's fostered here that gave him the willpower to crawl back towards help, and he even ends up back with the same woman he saved earlier, and she heals him once again. And this arc ends in the best way possible as well. Nozaki and the gang decide to breach the level cap. In order to do this, they need to acquire a black steel weapon and defeat a rock lizard. So they all grind missions in order to save up enough money to buy this black steel battle axe, and they begin their mission. They succeed after a hard battle, and upon doing so, they are welcomed back into town as heroes. But their party is interrupted as a nobleman comes to see them, so Nozaki attacks the nobleman in order to let the other three escape with a promise to meet again. Nozaki leaves Rockcliffe and declares that he'll one day make a place to call home.
I got up my map and it shows some place I wanted to go to.
Everything I talked about was really only like 20% of the actual manga. I always like to leave out quite a lot, so if you do decide to read it for yourself, it's still a completely new experience. This arc ends at chapter 29, and there are currently 67 chapters. Karate Survivor in Another World genuinely stands apart, honestly, from the Isekai genre as a whole. Nozaki, Ao, Gans, Kimon, all incredible characters that definitely hold a place in my mind. The interactions between them, the battle they fought, gave me a real sense that I was on this journey with them, and normal Isekai just doesn't do this at all. The story and its setting are so simple, and that's what makes it so amazing. Despite the limitless potential for its setting and characters, Isekai is always high fantasy, medieval, but the story actually uses the setting in a really cool way. If you guys really liked how I did this video, I tried to write my script completely different. A lot of my videos always end up just being a recap video basically. This video had a little bit of that in there, but I still wanted to try to analyze like the best way possible. So most of my videos from now on will be like this. Let me know if you do like the recaps though, but if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. You know, I really want to hit that goal this month, and I'll try my hardest to make excellent videos with great audio and visuals and things like that. So videos will take a lot longer to come out, but right now I'm trying to go for like a quality over quantity thing. But see ya.
Fear God, love Jesus.
Peace.
Peace.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.